Well, a very good morning, everyone. My name is Sheba Diana Adams, and I am going to be your host for today. I extend my warm welcome to all the esteemed architects, interior designers, industry professionals, and enthusiasts who have gathered here for the most anticipated event of the year, the Architecture and Interior Design Excellence Awards and Conference 2023. Can we hear a big round of applause, everybody? Come on. Of Ponni, Oscar, and Rahul Architects, Chennai. Dr. Ponni M. Concessao did a B.Arch from National Institute of Technology, NIT Trichy, and was the first undergraduate women student admitted to NIT Trichy, and later did a M.Arch from Cornell University in the year 1989, and advanced professional studies at Harvard University in 1992. She was conferred as a honorary doctorate in modern architecture in 2008 in Malaysia, and University of Milano for Modern Architecture and Architectural Science in 2014. She has worked with internationally renowned architectural firm Edward Larrabee Barnes in New York City on several skyscrapers, university campuses, and stadiums before joining her husband in 1996, ushering an era of diverse award-winning projects from institutions, technology parks, apartments, shopping malls to luxury apartments, townships, corporate offices, educational institutions, hospitals, and luxury villas. She has won more than 165 international, national, and state awards for architecture, interior designs, and has been widely published in design magazines and newspapers. Architect Ponni received the Distinguished Alumnus Award from NIT for the Global Jubilee celebrations from His Excellency, the former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Dr. Ponni was awarded the Women's Icons of Asia 2019 in Singapore, along with 11 women from Asian nations, and she recently won the Champions of Change for the Telangana state in March 2022 for her contribution towards architecture and women's empowerment. Architect Dr. Ponni Concessao is the first women architect in Asia to design a state secretariat of 12 lakh square feet, largest, tallest IGBC-rated green building at Hyderabad for the government of Telangana in 26 months. Architect Ponni is also involved in the Prime Minister's Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana project and also built noon meal centers, toilets for underprivileged girl children, as well as schools for leprosy-afflicted patients' children. Dr. Ponni also has annual exhibitions of her paintings to raise funds for leprosy eradication. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please join me with a big round of applause as we welcome Dr. Ponni on stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. Good morning to you all, dignitaries of the dais, my fellow architects, students, and manufacturers. It's been an honor and privilege to address this August event in front of a very august audience. Like I said, we've had a very large, diverse set of projects in our 27 years of practice in India. Prior to that, as you all know, I was educated in the US. I also worked in the US with Edward Larrabee Barnes, and that was an eye-opening experience. Among of all our projects, the crown jewel that we were very lucky and fortunate to participate in is the Telangana State Secretariat, the B.R. Ambedkar Telangana State Secretariat in Hyderabad. I will share with you my experiences of building this fantastic monument, which is indeed today a global icon, much to our pleasure, happiness, and surprise. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the pride of India, the B.R. Ambedkar Telangana State Secretariat. Now, why did we revert back to traditional architecture in buildings, especially the Telangana State Secretariat? So, what we did was we did a study of secretariats built in India in the past 70 years, and we have found that secretariats, especially down south, built in the modern fashion, was actually not very well received by the people. And case in point is the Tamil Nadu State Secretariat, which eventually got converted to a hospital. So in my book, in my opinion, secretariats need a strong mental connect with the local population. Therefore, our design for the Telangana State Secretariat embodies contextual architecture in terms of planning, design, and sustainability. So if you look at the green circle out there, there are three factors: environment, culture, and technology. And they all focus back into identity, sustainability, and regionalistic architecture. We also used architecture as an expression of democracy. In a democracy, it is important to capture the popular imagination of the people of a state and reflect their aspirations. So it is important to understand how to create monuments that embodies the expression of democracy in a historical context, yet a space-age context. So at Oscar, Ponni, and Rahul Architects, we indulge in something called fusion design for Hyderabad. And as you all know, Hyderabad sits in the geometric center of the country. And just like any other part of India, Hyderabad was subjected to an ancient medieval Hindu architecture, and then the impact of invasions from Middle Eastern countries, and then the advent of European invaders. So what we did was, and then of course contemporary India. So we brought in a fusion of different historical styles of Deccan Kakatiya, Indo-Sasanic, and colonial architecture, and we used different elements like domes, columns, and arches. What we also did was we used different types of materials: sandstone, granite, marble, masonry, and GRC. GRC was a fantastic material to use. We also used the principles of sustainability, and this building has been rated gold by the IGBC. Also, we used very unique construction technologies, and the building was completed in just about 2 years, 26 months, 12 lakh square feet of it, and we also hastened this up in spite of 2 COVID lockdowns. We also used local heritage artisan styles such as Bidri. Bidri is very famous in Hyderabad. It's nothing but metal inlay work, and cherial artwork was used to a very large extent. The entrance door and the porch is actually one of the largest anywhere in the world. All materials, furniture, accessories, and you name it, all the building materials came right out of Hyderabad except for the sandstone that came out of Rajasthan, and therefore it was a true green building. Now if you look at the site, it's very simple. The site is square. It's got main arterial roads running around it, and we were lucky. The site overlooks the picturesque and historic Hussain Sagar Lake. The concept was based on Vastu. So if you look at this, on the left-hand side, you will see the Hussain Sagar Lake. That's right there. The Birla Mandir that came at the bottom of the site. The Tank Bund Road is actually the Necklace Road. It's an amazing, amazing road. It just wraps around the entire lake with beautiful street furniture, statues, and fantastic light fittings. And there on the right-hand side, you will actually see the finished secretariat. Again, it's sheer luck and fortune. We had the main arterial roads run around it. And then if you look at the setback, remember for historical public buildings, you need immense setbacks. So we had a natural setback of 200 feet by virtue of the arterial road, and then of course by virtue of the site. Now, this is the first secretariat to be truly secular with gender equity. We had a temple, mosque, and church built at the secretariat campus, showcasing secularism and social equity. I give a lot of credit to the Chief Minister of Telangana, wonderful man, K. Chandrasekhar Rao. He's somebody who believes in social equity and gender equity. It was an absolute pleasure to work with him. He insists on a creche for young mothers, equal number of toilets. I actually designed this for 10%, because if you look at any government setup, it's only 10% of the population that are actually women. But he actually insisted on having equal number of toilet fixtures for women and for men. And why? If you look at the demographics of India, 48 to 50% of the population is indeed women. And this particular chief minister was is actually planning to convert 50% of the workforce as women the next 2 to 3 years. So again, a phenomenally fantastic guy to work with. Let me take you to the inspirations that went on in the design of the Secretariat. We had the Jagannath temple with the ribbed domes, the Ramappa temple. I don't know how many of you know about the Ramappa temple, but it's a World Heritage Site, and it was very inspiring because they used 4 sets of materials: sandstone, brick masonry, basalt, and granite. The Vanarpati Palace was another great inspiration for the domes, the dual columns, and the Sri Sita Ramachandra temple in Telangana for the peripheral domes. So if you look at this building, there are about 34 domes. No public building anywhere in the world for a secretariat has 34 domes. So the dome was a major feature in this building, and again, the inspiration was from the Hanuman temple in Gujarat, Vanarpati Palace, and the decorative domes of the temples of Kumbakonam. This is the finished product, and if you look at the detail of the dome, we had lotus petals running all around and a typical Hindu finial. Another inspiration was the dual columns. Now, the dual columns of the Telangana Talli. The Telangana Talli forms the main part of the logo of the Telangana state government, and this duality of the columns was taken in all of the elevations. The sustainability principles. The entire complex overlooks a 2.5 acre courtyard. These green spaces help in natural lighting, natural ventilation, thereby reducing the carbon footprint. We tried very hard, very scientifically to reduce the carbon footprint, reducing the consumption of electricity as much as possible. The courtyard really helped. And of course, the interior courtyard is the Brahmasthan of the entire complex. Now, if you look at the accommodation plan, the chief minister sat on the 6th floor, which is about 16 feet high, with all of his advisors, secretaries. The honorable ministers, principal secretaries, etc., occupied the space from the ground floor right up to the 5th floor. Services department came in the lower ground floor, and the entire complex has a workspace for about 2,000 employees. The built-up space, like I said, is 12 lakh square feet, total height 265 feet. The length and breadth was 600 into 300 feet. Acreage was about 28 acres, close to 1,000 car parking with 700 two-wheelers. And this is the entire master plan. The way we had planned it, I was very particular, is in the form of a temple. It's got 4 cardinal gateways. The footprint of the complex occupies about 1/3, roughly about 1/3 of the acreage. We had parking on 3 sides, north, south, and the west. This is the main VIP entrance through which the chief minister and the ministers would get into the complex, and this is that huge arterial road that I spoke about. As per Vastu, this is the entrance for the visitors, northeast entrance for the staff. And this is the basic plan. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of details, but if you look, it's a shoebox plan. It's got the entire complex running around in the peripheral, but in the inner peripheral, you will notice actually a little yellow line that is actually nothing but the corridor. I was very particular on having a 12 feet wide corridor. And why? Because the corridor acts like a heat exchanger. Cool air comes in from the courtyard, goes up to the corridor, gets into the different parts of the complex. There are walls here, windows here and windows here. Very good cross ventilation. And we had about more than 10 cores. Cores meaning these are staircases, lift lobbies, toilets, and they happen at every 30 meters. If you look at the floor zoning, you had the ministers' offices. So there are 4 ministries per floor plan. Each minister has his own office, conference rooms, dedicated conference rooms, toilets fitted with showers, so they work 24/7, and then their own principal secretaries, sections, etc. Now, I also devised a proportioning system based on the human anatomy. If you look at the elevation on both sides, it's a palm concept. Bisect it and you would get one side of the elevation. The central dome tower complex is in the form of the human figure, which is split into 8 different parts. This is the side elevation, and you can see the 2 dome complexes, dome tower complexes that fits in exactly in the form of the human figure. I also use the golden ratio. The golden ratio fits in perfectly for the 2 wings of the front elevation and on a horizontal orientation, and the central vertical orientation for the dome tower complex. The same story applies to the side elevation. Now, I also used a principle called the Vescia Pisces. Now, Vescia Pisces is nothing but 2 equal circles intersecting each other. And when you do it, you get a 1:2 proportion. So that principle was devised for the overall plan of the complex. Let's look at the aerial view. This is the finished product, like I said, and these are the 2 parking areas, the arterial roads in the center, and this is the main VIP entrance, and of course, the Secretariat complex in the center. And at the far right, you can see on the top, you can see B.R. Ambedkar statue, the only largest statue of Dr. Ambedkar. That's the NTR Gardens from the right-hand side, and of course, the Birla Temple on the left. Now, I'll take you through something called sequential experience. For me, sequential experience is very important. This is the view you'd get in from the arterial road. There's a beautiful grill compound wall that we designed that gives a kind of sneak preview of what the Secretariat is like. This is the massive VIP entrance. Now, this VIP entrance, of course, predictably has 2 gates, 26 feet wide, 24 feet high, with a domical pediment. And as the doors open, you can see, the gates open, you will see the dome tower complex. Nowhere in the world do you have 2 dome tower complexes for a Secretariat. And this is something that we created. And as you move in, you get the entire fascia of the Secretariat. Now, if you really see, it's actually a horizontal composition that has been chopped vertically by these bell towers. I affectionately call them the bell towers. But they are indeed the service shafts that house all these service issues. And of course, the center elevation with the beautiful 3-story structural glazing window. This is the largest porch ever. And of course, the domical composition right on top. This is the view that you will get from the NTR Gardens. The Secretariat is actually a photographer's delight, because as you move in from angle to angle, you get a different visage of the dome designs and indeed the entire composition. What you're looking at is the massive 60 feet diameter sandstone fountain, and this is something we created because we wanted a prelude to entering the building. Let's look at the elevation details. So you'll see the sandstone podium with the sandstone jali, and that happens rhythmically at every 3rd window. And if you look at the composition of the columns, you will see a single large column at this level that goes into the dual columns, like I said, of the Telangana Talli, and of course that goes in for 4 stories and then to a single story of the same column typology. So there are different typologies in every architectural element. This is the large porch that I was talking about, 120 feet by 56 feet by 42 feet. 3 stories high. And then if you see, again, like I spoke, in architecture, it's very important to have an element called sequential experience. And so from the turfed landscape, you would move into a grand staircase in the center made of sandstone. And of course, you'll have 2 entrances. This is the entrance where the Chief Minister's motorcade would go in, and this is the handicapped entrance. Now, as you climb up the staircase and you turn around, you see the entire vista of the eastern part of the site. The lake, the 2 sandstones, the VIP entrance, and the Martyrs Memorial, the guys who gave up their lives fighting for the creation of the state of Telangana. This is the tallest and largest door ever. This is the entrance doors. And if you see, there is a certain proportion. The central doors are flanked by these tall windows. So the issue was to create every element in the building that defines monumentality, defines grandeur, defines the growth of Telangana. I don't know how much of you are familiar with the history of Telangana. In 10 years, an arid piece of land called Telangana grew up to be the highest in food production, highest in power, highest in GDP, and is fast becoming the IT capital of India. Again, I give a lot of credit to the Chief Minister of Telangana. Now, there is something called the interior courtyard. So as you drive in, this is a driveway that comes in. The Chief Minister's entrance is here. The Minister's entrances are there. And if you look at the composition of the Dome Tower complex, on the outside is the same that is inside. And this is the grand elevation that you would see as you enter inside, 400 feet. And the column composition is 2 stories, 4 stories, single stories. There are close to 40 different types of window designs, and of course, many other peripheral elements. This is a view in the courtyard showing the 2 dome tower complexes. Now, we created a entrance lobby. We didn't have an awful lot of space, so we cantilevered this by about 15 feet, created a glass capsule. And this overlooks the interior courtyard. So as you get up into the entrance courtyard, you get a 360 view of what the interior courtyard is about from the grand lobby. This is the grand lobby, and you can see the large doors. Now, I'll quickly take you through the interiors. We used materials available in Hyderabad. Remember, it was a COVID lockdown. We used a lot of white and green marble, and we used the diagonal design because the diagonal diamond was taken off one of the temples in Telangana. And as you walk through every corridor, you see the capital of the columns, the balustrade, like I said, sequential experience. Moving on to the interiors, this is the Chief Minister's conference hall, and we did it all up in white and gold. Remember, we didn't have an awful lot of time. Things had to be made simple. Everything has to be Vastu-oriented. Like I said, immense room heights of 16 feet. This is the Chief Minister's office, 60 feet by 40 feet. The workstation is on the right-hand side, and he has a giant LED wall on the right, right in front of his desk. This is one of the largest desks in the world ever. It's about 18 feet by 5 feet, specially designed for him, and again, all in white and gold. This is the VVIP lounge. I don't know how many interior designers are sitting here, but this is something that was a treat to do with because this is done in French neoclassical style. This is what I like doing. As a designer, I don't like doing the same typology, actually shift gears. So this is a space where the chief ministers of other states would wait before they are called into the chief minister's room. This is the chief secretary's room. So there's a turnaround in design vocabulary. We use wooden paneling for all the other IAS and chief secretary officers. The chief secretary, by the way, is a lady. She wanted a lounge space for parallel discussions. This is the minister's room. Again, it's very simple. Seating area here and a lounge on the right-hand side. A conference room for each minister to seat about 30 to 40 people. This is a cabinet meeting hall. Here we used a lot of acoustic materials, state-of-the-art acoustic materials. But what we also did was, in the acoustic materials, we brought in different motifs of the state of Telangana. This is the VIP dining. As you can see, feature ceilings in oval. The same shape comes below, a giant marble table. Again, all this is done in white and beige color schemes. This is the political waiting lounge, and there are a lot of waiting lounges. There are VIP lounges, and then there are lounges for officers, etc. Now, what I also did, not only did we do the architecture, but we also did the interior design, where we had 50 types of doors, all of them with metal inlay. This is the chief minister's door, this is the cabinet hall door, and of course the principal secretary's door. Just to give you a glimpse of the kind of workmanship that went in. It's again the Bidri style of metal inlay. the Janahita Hall on the 6th floor, the multi-purpose hall. Remember, up to the 6th floor were all offices. Above that came in 4 floors of public spaces. So this was the multi-purpose hall done up in beige, white and olive green, and dining spaces for all kinds of events. The banquet hall done in white, gold and a lot of gold leafing. And then of course the ceremonial hall. These are spaces where MOUs are signed with different governments, with MNCs, etc. Again, we use simple white and green marble, no fancy Italian marble. And of course, the crown jewel of the entire complex was the Sky Lounge. The Sky Lounge is nothing but the space that comes below the main dome. It's about 70 feet in diameter. It's called tall windows all around. So in 1 minute, when you enter the Sky Lounge, you get a 360 visual treat of the city of Hyderabad at the height of 265 feet. Of course, very elaborate marble designs here. This is where the Chief Minister would entertain the President of the United States, if indeed he came, and also the Prime Minister. So there are different typologies of spaces here. External lighting played a very important role. Over here, we didn't have any fancy consultant. I worked with Philips and got the external lighting done. And if you see the external lighting, it lights up and enhances every architectural feature. This is the reflection that you would get across the Hussain Sagar Lake at night. And let me take you through a quick overview of a dynamic Chief Minister called Chandrasekhar Rao. Came in every week, got the tape to check each of the measurements, checked if Shapurji and Palanji did their job. Of course, you can see the scale of construction as it comes up. This is the different stages of construction. Mind you, at any point in time, we had 15,000 workers working, 5,000 at every shift per day and night. Now, I'll just give you a skyline comparison of the Secretariat. The first 4 are the monuments of Telangana, the Taj Mahal, the Qutub Minar, and then the scale of the Telangana Secretariat, just to give you an idea of the basic length and height of the entire complex, and also see the complexity as compared with these monuments. This is on a very human level. These are the many moods of the Telangana State Secretariat: dawn, midday, dusk, and night. It's just a visual treat. In closing, I would say that this is a national first. It's the first secretariat ever to be designed by a woman architect, the largest and tallest secretariat, the only secretariat to have 2 dome tower complexes, and the first IGBC gold-rated secretariat in India. This is, of course, my team, Oscar, myself, and my son. By the way, it was a tight project. We had architect Rahul coordinating drawings from Chennai, and then Oscar and I literally lived in Telangana for about 2.5 years. I'll just run you through a video, a 1-minute video. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was spectacular. Can we hear a big round of applause once again for Dr. Ponni? Thank you very much, ma'am.